In this section, we are going to work on the second phase that you enter once you have developed a heart disease. I am referring to self-pity, which is a state in which you perceive or believe that no one cares about you because of the disappointment in love that you have received. This leads you to develop the belief that you have always been alone and that in general, all the people who have been by your side have only sought to harm you. This is the phase in which you enter that depressive state, which leads you to suffer and cry constantly because apparently no one cares about you. Now, what causes all this? That state of self-pity that we are talking about here. Essentially, the trust you put in the other person, the one that ended up hurting you. Deep down, what causes that process of self-pity that you enter is your own vulnerability. If you think about it, when you give yourself to another, you do so with the understanding that that person is going to take care of you. But what happens when that person doesn't do what he was supposed to do, which is to protect you, to care about you, because you have given him your trust and, as I said, your vulnerability. You enter a state in which you do not know how to protect yourself precisely because your capacity for self defense is gone, because it was something that was taken away by other person in whom you voluntarily trusted. This happens a lot, for example, in children who suffer from the abandonment of a parent. When they become adults, they develop complexes associated with self-pity because they placed their vulnerability in that person, the one that they look for now that they are adults, but that they cannot find because they do not know how to activate it. Now, what are the problems that arise due to this state of self-pity, which we are talking about here? As you may have already noticed, you transform into a child, and that in turn causes you to suffer because no one comes to take care of you, particularly that person in whom you placed your trust, but who is now gone. And it explains why you lose the ability to take care of yourself, because within the framework of the relationship you had with that person, you stopped exercising that part of you, the one that protected you precisely from disappointments, because you put all your trust in that person who abandoned you. If you look at it, it's very similar to what happens with children, who don't need to be strong because they completely trust their parents. But what happens if parents don't meet that expectations? This whole self-pity complex arises, which we are talking about here. And that is precisely what generates the third effect that comes with this stage. That you go through moments of great suffering because you cannot resist emotionally unless you have by your side that person who previously took care of you. Deep down, it's not that you want your ex-partner by your side, but look, that person who takes care of you and makes you feel safe. That is why many people who consult me want to return to their previous relationship because they are going through a phase in which they do not trust themselves. They know that the relationship was bad, but they cannot do it because they need to be next to that person who gives them confidence because they cannot find it on their own. Now, I must indicate that, as in the previous cases that we have explored here, this effect of self-pity usually lasts, on average, about 2 weeks in your perception. But after that, if you do not treat its effects, it continues to have a very strong influence in you. And for the same reason, you must consider what happens if you do not fix a problem like this. The first thing is that you are going to develop an unconscious frame of emotional and, above all, material dependence on other people. There is the explanation why many of the people who consult me after this traumatic breakup they have suffered enter into a new relationship in which they fear that person will abandon them. They despair very strongly with the sole idea that that person could leave their side, which, as you might have already inferred, finds its explanation in the insecurity that you have developed due to this specific imbalance to which you are subjected. The fact that you have lost the ability to take care of yourself. And precisely by not having trust, you generate that monetary bond, which often leads you to look for a person who can take care of you, even in the material sphere, because you have lost the ability to take care of yourself. Another problem that you will face if you do not work on this phase of self-pity is that you will lose your personal independence, because your partner from the future is going to take control of your life, whether consciously or unconsciously, precisely because of the insecurities that you have developed due to that psychic heart disease that you experienced in your past. And that means that all your personal life projects stagnate, precisely because by not having your ability to take care of yourself develops, you stop doing what you really want, to satisfy your partner, because you fear that if you don't, he or she will end up abandoning you, as was what your original partner did, the one who created the problem for you. That emotional trauma that we are working on here. An example that I can give you is that of people who are looking for a partner not because they like it, but because they want someone to take care of them. I had a case a few years ago of a person who entered into a relationship with someone who became a kind of bodyguard for her. She feared that other people would hurt her physically, that she entered into a relationship not on the basis of love or her personal taste, but precisely because of her insecurities. As you can infer, in a case like this, my client later developed anxiety and paranoia because her partner, her bodyguard, began to control every aspect of her life. Given this entire frame of reference, how is a frame like this, of this type, resolved? The important thing is to help you dissociate yourself from that abandoned child complex that comes with the self-pity phase. Once this is done, we must reactivate your ability to take care of yourself, what will allow us to regulate the way and the amount in which you give precisely your own sense of protection to other people when you enter into a relationship, which will eventually allow you to generate autonomy to be in a relationship, to give up some vulnerability, but so that your life remains yours and does not become the problem you are now dealing with. In the next section, we are going to work on the third phase of a sick heart, which is the desire to hurt others. I see you there.